All right, this is Leetcode 26, remove duplicates from assorted array in JavaScript. What they're asking you to do is remove all the duplicates in place and then return the new length of the array. But I think the common way that people end up approaching this, or a trick to this, is essentially reorganize the array in place and then just return the place in the array that you've counted up to as the length, because that's the only thing it's asking for. So let's scroll down here and take a look at this. So for this one, I don't know why they give these examples. This is not helpful. So we have this input and we're supposed to basically return this right here, but they never ask us for nums. When you hit submit, they only care about getting this output of 5, which is the new length of the array. So all you have to do is basically count up a counter to 5 and return that. So let's write some code for this. We'll start with making that index counter and set it to 0. Okay. Then create a for loop. So we have a for loop. So now what we want to do is we want to test. Let's grab this right here. Okay, we want to test to see, as we're going through the array, is index equal to the index next to it. So we'll do that with an if statement. Is array I, and we'll say not equal to array I minus 1. So is this not equal to this? And if they're not equal, we'll take array index counter and set that to array I. And then what we'll do is we'll increment index counter. And at the end, when we've done all these index counter increments and all these swaps right here, what we're doing is we're just swapping numbers around. We'll simply return the index counter. So let's run this and then I'll walk through that. Give that a submit. Okay, great, works. And then what I can do is grab a console log right here. I already got this typed out, so you don't have to watch me type this out. Let's hit run code. Let's see what this gives us down here. Doesn't like what I do wrong here. Index is not, okay. Right, because it's index counter, not index. Okay, let's run that again. Okay, this is less helpful than I was hoping it would be because it's just showing this input there. So can we change this test case? Yes, run code. Okay, so this might be a little bit more helpful here. So as we're going through, geez, what happened to my code up here? Can I make that bigger? We'll just do this. All right. So as we're going through this array here, we're essentially counting up this index. Which actually should be index counter. So let's redo that so that makes more sense. And let's run that again. There we go. Okay. So we're running through this array here, and we're counting up this index counter. And then you can see inside of the array, all we're doing is we're essentially rewriting the beginning of this array, right? So it becomes this original 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. Then it comes, we just are moving the values around. So 1 comes here, and then we see we have 2, and we see we have 3, and then we see we have 4. And then at the end of it, we're just returning this index counter. So a couple of things with this. One, if we wanted to return the actual just value of that array, we could just do let result equals array dot splice, right, 0 through index counter, and that would just give us that section. But they didn't ask for that. I just wanted to show you that's how you would do that. But the other thing we can do here is we can kind of walk through this. Let's get rid of that. And let's walk through this the long way. So we'll get I index and what the array is. So right now, in the very first pass, right, I is set to 0, and the index counter is set to 0. So when we walk through this, we'll go, is array I not equal to array I minus 1? Well, it's actually not, because array I, right, is 0 right now, and it's not equal to what's before it. And what it does actually here is it takes array 0 and resets it to array I, so which is 0. So all it does right there for the first pass is it just adds the index counter. So now index counter is 1, and on the next pass through this, I is now 1. So now when we come through this, is array I, which is 1, not equal to this? No, those are equal, so we can increment. So now we're on 2. So now this is not equal. So 1 is not equal to 0. Array I is not equal to the one before it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take array of index counter, and index counter is 1. So we're going to take this one and set it to array I, which is 1. So we just put 1 here, index counter increments by 1, and then on this, because we're right here, so then we come back up to the top, add 1 to I. Okay, now we're at 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Nope, those are, so we're going to say this is equal to that. So 4. And on the next pass, because we need to loop all the way through again, so now 1 still equal to 1. So we'd be at 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 is not equal to 1. So what we'll do here is set index counter, array index counter, which is 2. So 0, 1, 2. Set this value to be that number. And then increment there. And then when I is 6, you can see how this is working, right? That's why I wanted to walk through this. So when we get to here, right, we're going to move that to there. And then when we get to here, we're going to move that. We're going to move 4 to here. And then at the end of this, we were simply just returning that counter, which we've been counting this whole time, but we could also return this chunk of array. But essentially, you're just walking through this and rewriting the beginning of it. So that's how you do that. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you should subscribe.